AskReddit. What is the worst thing that you've seen a coworker do and still avoid being fired? At a boss storing pictures of himself in only his wide open bathrobe on company servers. It was reported 2 hours, but wasn't fired for it. Later he was arrested as part of an undercover sting, where he thought he was meeting a 15-year-old girl about 500 miles away. Drill a hole clean through a condensate line, and have the ceiling of a 3-car garage collapse when the drywall gave. Me, I'm that guy. Amma. How did you not die? Barely. I had 3 days of in my office. Now I was honest, it was one of those jobs with more than one teams of 2, and another guy was the lead. But as soon as I saw pictures of the devastation, I knew it was my fault. I told my boss that wasn't X's fault. I did that. I made a 1 in a million shot. I couldn't do it again if I tried. My boss said my honesty saved my job, but I'm at 2 strikes right now. You should be proud of your integrity. Just keep applying yourself and you'll make it through life just fine. Truth, I'm transferring from my pharmacy job to another location because my manager was such a shit. I agree 90%. I remember I had a job in a factory that was just flipping steel plates and sanding them. There was a bit of diversity, but that is the here and now of it. I promise you the best boss in the world couldn't convince me to stay at that job. I was miserable Friday cause I had to go back Monday. Some jobs you just can't make better. Accidentally send the last 3 years of account details / back statements from one company to their direct competitor. Accidentally. Twas but an oversight, my dear. Don't mind my new McLaren, my dad bought it for me. After I came close to this. Within my first few months out of college, working as a design engineer, copy and pasted what I then realized was a confidential proprietary design that we created for a competitor of the client. My boss admitted blame. He signed off and certified it without realizing I had copied it from a proprietary job until I told him that was my reference material after the job was issued. We have a big database of industry standard reference material we use, but he also said I could use previous jobs as reference designs. However, I was unaware at the time that some of our corporate designs were proprietary. We agreed that, at the level of experience I was at and the training I was given, I wasn't fully expected to know that at that stage. Needless to say, I've not done it again. That is how it is supposed to work. People make mistakes. Different from the casual bastardry that is a lot of these replies. When companies don't do what yours did, employees just get better at hiding and blame shifting mistakes. Oh, no doubt. Don't get me wrong. Boss went into full ass covering mode with the client, notifying them of a vague error in our design, apologizing and issuing a tweaked revision, just in case. And there was very much a don't ever do that again vibe surrounding the whole incident. But as you say, it was all done constructively. We have since changed our filing process slightly, so it is more difficult to inadvertently reference corporate jobs for details. I would never fire someone for doing something they had no idea was an issue. That's on me as a leader for not ensuring they are properly trained / aware of company policies and processes, especially important ones. My last boss was awful for this. My first day working in a law firm, I messed something up, and she asked me if I was retarded when I told her. Later she said I was acting like a little bitch for being obviously in a down mood afterwards. It got to the point where I was terrified to ask anything because I knew I was going to be berated. A month in during our review and connect meeting, I told her as much, and it was just her personality and she's not going to change, and I had to deal with it. I've worked a lot of crappy customer service jobs with power tripping bosses and I've disliked bosses before. This woman I genuinely hated every single day. She would even make jokes, so I know I'm such a bitch. Haha, sorry this ended up turning into a vent, but it's been months since I've been gone from there, and I still wouldn't hold a door open for her if I saw her. Worst coworker ever was the credit mooch. He would constantly horn in on other people's projects, getting his name added to them to make it look like he was doing shit when he actually not. If people tried to assign him any work on said project, he would have a personal emergency or a virus would make him lose all his work, or his schedule is booked with other project, or the worst, he would pull some sucker in to help him with it, and said sucker would end up doing it all in utter frustration. Because he was so good at stealing credit, he managed to get top marks on his reviews despite doing absolutely zero actual work for the company. I know at least 4 people quit due to this guy getting better raises than they did. Far as I know, they never actually got rid of him. That's middle management material right there. Classic case of charisma being more important than skill. Disgusting. Had a coworker like this. I still have arguments with her in my head. It's been 7 years. I know someone who managed to close an entire supermarket early for the first time in its history, costing the company several thousands of pounds, because they tried to set a clock on a computer back an hour to avoid missing some deadline for a daily routine. He said it seemed such a good idea at the time. That's oddly impressive. How did setting the clock back lead to that? Not the op, but I assume their pose was a piece of shit from 2003 made up of the programming equivalent of gum and paperclips that fell apart when the time from one part of the program didn't match the time from another part. Guy at my wife's old job was brought in because he was really good at selling the services they provided. Proceeded to send dick pics to the women at work and solicit nudes from them. Women said to stop, or they'd take it up with management, and it subsided some. Solicited nudes from a new chick who asked my wife about it, and my wife went to management with everything, and said this guy's out or I'm quitting. Well, she quit. Guy's still there, but most the original female staff has quit. Money talks. Dudes bringing in more money than the sexual harassment issues. Shit's dumb. But if it's not a huge company, then that's definitely why he's still there. Small companies will let insane shit slide, money and poor management reasons alike. Ours rep found out about a person's elective surgery and made fun of her with a former employee. Let me recap. This person knew about an employee's private medical information because she worked with our healthcare plan in her role as ours, and shared that private information with another person for the sole purpose of mocking the employee. She was not fired. That's not just worthy of being fired, that's 100% illegal. Yeah, I claimed sexual harassment working in Providence Medical Center, Anchorage, BC, and the records debt. A few ladies I worked with would always look at the dick pics from operations and then stick them in your face while you were working. We had a subway down the hall in the basement, and they'd always say stuff like, "You think, is a subway 6 inches or footling?" And then the other would chime in on cue, "I wish they'd meet me in the middle at 9 inches. Nothing ever came of my complaint even after whistleblower complaint. I feel I should been paid BC. It's weird what they did, but I was a 20Y/O male, so I was told, yeah right kid. EOC even declined to investigate. No lies, no BS, it happened. After already being disciplined and essentially demoted for doing his job terribly, my coworker drunk texted all of our managers in the middle of the night asking why they didn't love him. It's been about 2 weeks and I haven't seen him since, but he's not gone. Not the worst thing he could have done, but I cringe thinking about it. Not the same thing, but I drunkenly sent a dick pic to my work group chat, and I'm still absolutely mortified till this day. Yeah, that's worse. The dick pic is definitely worse, but one time I was talking in a group chat that included my ex, and talking to my ex separately at the same time, which was fine because we're on good terms, but my ex must have gotten her wires crossed because she sent a long emotional text about details of our past relationship to the group chat instead of me.